Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Spiritual Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by the fabulous Adam Bernstein. He is the Adam between two worlds. He is a spirit medium, a psychic, and a teacher. He is a co-founder and a chapter member of the International Mediums League. He has worked with Court TV with his groundbreaking show, Psychic Detectives, which I can't wait to hear about, in a promotional capacity. He was profiled alongside 60 of New York's best and famous psychics and mediums in the book Psychic New York. He has appeared in numerous TV shows and he has appeared on many articles, and he is an international well-known YouTuber who has a fabulous channel, which we're going to talk about. And I am so grateful that you're here today. Thank you, Adam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful that you're here. So when I was reading on your website, and it's AdamBetweenTwoWorlds.com, he has this amazing story about himself. Can you tell us a little bit about how, because it looks like you started at a very young age at 4 years old. Can you tell us a little bit about how did you know that you were psychic?
Well, I really didn't, to be quite honest. And the website's actually Adam Between the Worlds.
The Worlds. I'm sorry, Adam Between the
That's
Worlds.
Okay. But one of my teachers, well, I haven't studied with her for years, but I still consider her a teacher, named Janet O'Havoc, has a book out called Between Two Worlds or something about that. So I was like, I was thinking of her when you were saying that. But yeah, I have a book that's about a third to a half done about psychic children, I want to say.
Amazing.
It's kind of been on the back burner for a while because I'm so busy, but I have this. And as I was writing it, I started to remember things from my early childhood about when I was, less than even 3 years old, and I was seeing the spirits, and I have a lot of different stories. But what I mentioned on the website is just an example that I was in what we called the nursery school then. I think it's preschool now, but was born in the late 50s. And there were actually 3 teachers, which was nice. And my favorite teacher's named Carol. And then she was gone for a while. And then when she came back, it's just and it's just one of these things that I remembered as I was writing things down. And it just hit me like she came over and she was helping me with my drawing or whatever. And it just came out of me, blurted out, don't be, I'm sure I'm paraphrasing what I actually said, but to the effect, your daddy's saying to not be sad that he's happy in heaven or something like that. And then she just kind of stopped and just, kind of went stone cold for a second. Then they gave me a hug and it was like, thank you, that was very special, or you're special, or something like that. And I mean, I have plenty of stories. And my mom used to call me the nickname Bird, which I thought was endearing till I got a little bit older. Wait a second.
And why do you think she called you Bird?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it was really a cute nickname, but I think back, it's well, I was always talking about dead people, or one time out of the blue, I was crying and I was accusing my older brother for hitting me over the head and throwing me in jail, and I said, why did Michael do that? Actually, interesting that I'm mentioning him because he's in the spirit world, and today's his anniversary. Actually, 5/4. I have to remember to write a little thing up on Facebook about it, but and then she'd be like, "Don't be ridiculous! What are you talking about?" And I think I think at that age I was having a little bit of a hard time discerning past lives from present lives.
Right.
I think this is just a past life thing. And later on, I got this memory that we were out in California, panning for gold, and I think my brother basically double crossed me and stole the money, and I got thrown in jail or something like that. We didn't have the best relationship in this life either, so it kind of stands to reason in a way. But
so with you being a spirit medium and a psychic and a teacher, so you do connect with spirit, and you probably are, when at a young age and seeing spirit, how did you deal with that?
Well, I mean, for me, it was normal. And I think I just bought into what the grown-ups were saying, that it's your imagination or whatever.
Oh.
So I think, I suppressed it basically. it really wasn't until I was closer to 40 actually that I started to do mediumship. And that happened after my brother died. He died in, actually I was 39 when he passed. It was in 1998. Today, 1998. So then he came to me like, I'll put this way. He came to me about 5 or 6 days later. So what happened was, there was a tragic passing, unexpected. My mom was a wreck. I was basically living in a small New York City apartment with my girlfriend, my parents, 3 cats, and he had just died, and my mom was a mess, and I was basically like spending my nights like on the sit-up sofa holding
Yeah.
her hand, basically. So how I was spending my time. And after a few days, I was just, when things started to diffuse a little bit, I just asked Janice, like, do you mind if I go out, if I get away and go out to the woods for a while? Otherwise, I'm just going to join my brother. And
Oh
she
my
could see I
goodness.
was getting unglued, and she said, no,
Yeah.
go, I'll deal with your parents. So I went up to Woodstock, which is close to where I live now.
Uh-huh.
Um, and went up to the Overlook Mountain area, for anybody that knows the area, and Echo Lake, and there's a nice rock quarry up there. And on the third night, he just came through, and I just knew he was there. I knew what he was telling me. He was just telling me he took his life and made it appear as an accident. And then I got with a medium that I trusted a week later, and he validated everything that they came through in that. And then my mom just couldn't handle it. She wound up dying a couple of years later. So it's kind of like one of these life events that got me out of the closet and got me to
Yeah.
develop my gift, basically. Because I figure I couldn't help her, but it's one of these emotional things. Is like, well, maybe I can help other people, basically. So
Absolutely. I'm
yeah,
sorry about his passing. My brother also passed through
oh,
suicide. So it's
you
a,
understand that,
I
yeah,
do. Yeah. It's a different, it's a different grief process, and it's a different,
yeah,
it's a different questioning process, which I'm sure you can
yeah.
identify with for sure. I'd be curious though, has your mom visited you in spirit, and have you felt that you've provided her healing in spirit?
I feel like she comes through, and I feel like she's coming along now. Interestingly, yesterday was her birthday, so the day's the day my brother passed. And I always thank my brother for thank you for not doing it on your mom's
Yes.
birthday. At least waiting, because basically it was a car accident. In Memphis, he was a photographer, and basically he pulled out on an intersection right in front of an 18-wheeler. And I that made me suspicious from the get-go,
Yeah.
basically. But there's a big backstory to that I want to get into. But my mom and my brother are total soulmates. It's kind of like I came along after my brother and kind of like kind of spoiled everything for them, I guess, because my brother was hugely jealous of me. And my mom, one of her lines was like, if you were my first, there never would have been a second.
Oh,
I wasn't the easiest child to raise, I want to say. I mean, she loved me, but I wasn't easy, and a very stubborn child and everything. But the other interesting thing is she passed on Halloween, and he was born October 29th. So it's
how
kind of like their
interesting.
birthdays and passing date really connect with each other. So yeah, she comes around. My father's a lot stronger from the spirit world,
Uh-huh.
but she comes around also.
So one of the things that I like that you do on your YouTube channel is you do Ascension updates. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So my YouTube channel is called the Medium Channel, and it's mediumship, and it's the little slogan is the spirituality behind the message. And so
Ooh,
basically, it's a channel on spirituality and some of my foundational practices. And one of the things that I do is that I do spiritual teaching
mhm.
also. And so when I do the Ascension update, it's basically like I do channeling too. Like I work with
Wow.
I believe they're Arcturian. I mean, sometimes I'm a little uncomfortable just saying specifically,
It's
aliens come
okay.
through and talk to me or whatever,
It's okay.
because mediumship, there's validation. It's like it's evidential, but this other stuff, there's no way of proving it. It's just like people will believe it or they won't. But they come through and give messages, and and I do like a form of energy channeling where I lead the meditation, and they work with my energy fields, and the people in the circle feel it, and then
Hmm.
some of them have really amazing like crown chakra openings and experiences like that. But the ascension updates are really about, we're in an ascension, we're in an
Yeah.
awakening in society. This is a big awakening process that's happening, and the energies keep increasing on the planet. There's forces that be, people call them the cabal or the elite or deep state. The thing is, without getting all conspiracy theory about things, just taking things at face value, that there's always been, for at least
Yeah.
3,000 years, small groups of people trying to control larger groups of people. And that's
Yes.
what's going on now. And it's so much higher level because they have technology. They have Wi-Fi and cell signals that can affect our energy fields. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that's going on. And so meanwhile, we're naturally awakening, but there's forces that don't want that because they control the money, they control the power, it's all corrupt. So if people awaken, then it's bad for their business. They don't want that. So
Yeah.
we have this thing going on in the world where people are waking up, the frequencies are getting stronger, people are getting like things like ascension symptoms, or they're getting
Right.
like these crazy like visions, or all of a sudden they're psychic and picking up on their dead people or whatever.
Yeah.
Both part of awakening. So with these ascension updates, I just give people what's going on with the energy, what practices you should be doing at this time that will
Oh,
benefit you.
perfect.
What I do predictions, but they're more points of references, because time is fluid. Really, all
Right.
time happens in the present. So a
Right.
prediction, I mean, some of my predictions come true, some of them don't, and when they don't, I'm happy, because I'm trying to prepare people for the possible worst. So I'll always say
Oh,
this is not
yeah.
fear-based, so don't take
Yeah.
this as fear-based thinking. It's about
Yeah.
empowerment. But like for example, get prepared for possible food shortages and supply shortages. Be
Absolutely. You're
ready
so
to maybe
correct. Yeah.
have a one, or at least one, if not 2 months of supplies and backup. I
Yeah.
have to do. I have to, May's the month to do this, because June and especially July gets really, really heavy for
Oh,
the time
wow.
thing. I want to get like a camping stove, in case we lose power here.
Yeah.
Mm,
Absolutely. So one of the things that you do is that you are a spiritual teacher.
yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the classes that you teach and offer?
Well, the next class I've got coming up is actually through Lilydale, which is a spiritualist community in Western New York.
Largest psychic community in the world. That is
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So it's spiritualism, and so they're doing like an online program. So I have a numerology class coming up this Saturday at
Nice.
6:45. Yeah, anybody that, I mean, this may actually be coming out after the class, so it doesn't matter. But in any event, that would be the next class that coming up, using numerology. Yeah, not only understanding your life path and
Yeah.
stuff like that, but how to use numbers and things like mediumship and psychic
Mhm.
development. And I've been doing trainings on Zoom, since the pandemic. I haven't been doing that many, so I don't have a lot of classes scheduled
Mhm.
right now. But every week we come out with new videos, and they're really educational in
Yeah.
nature.
I love
Um,
that. And then do you also do Reiki? Do you certify people in Reiki, or is that just something you put in with your abilities and your
I do,
gifts?
I do that. I mean, usually when people want to do healing, I refer them to Heather Istaro, who's much more advanced as a healer. But I'm able to do it, and but I'm not on the master's level, so I'm
Mhm.
not really at the level to teach other people
I
how to do
understand.
Reiki. And I could do energy healing since I was 19. I figured out how to do that. Yeah,
I
and
love that.
usually, the motivation of a young man is like having a crush on a young lady who's sick, and I wanted to make her feel better, and I sent her energy, and her fever broke that night, basically. And then it was like I learned that it's like this thing where we really have these amazing abilities. And when you talk about healing, it's not that I'm healing anybody. I'm just activating the energy so God can heal them, or they can better heal themselves. I've had
Absolutely.
people, I've done distance healings. It doesn't
Mhm.
work every time because everybody some people need to be ill for their
Yeah.
soul's purpose. So we honor that.
Right.
So, but recently I had a case with somebody with pancreatic cancer, is basically in home hospice, 48 hours to live, was the prognosis.
Wow.
His ex, I was talking to her, said, I can try healing,
Yeah.
it can hurt or whatever. I mean, this is an interesting experience because I'm able to connect with people's energies, and spirit lets me do that because they know I'm not going to do that for the wrong reasons, basically. Otherwise, karma has a way of biting in the butt.
So true.
If you use power. But they let me do that, and as soon as I connect with him, he's like laughing. He's already on the other side. It's like, wait a second, it's not time yet, or whatever. So he kind of came back. We did the healing. To make a long story short, 48 hours later, instead of dying, he was out of bed. He was eating. He's actually, I don't want to give any names because some people may have heard of him. It's actually a somewhat known musician, and basically, he's eating and playing his guitar, and his tumor shrunk. Unfortunately, he did pass later on. It came back, but still, the way we look at it is that he had nine months that he wouldn't have had, and the problem is that and I told the person, my contact person, that knows him, to say, like, this is what he needs to do. No chemo, like he's got to do this,
right?
He's got to do that, and he's got to change. Like he cannot approach life with the same energy or personality that attracted the cancer in the first place.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he was unable to do that. His family convinced him to do the chemo, and he had a few months where he was doing pretty good.
That's
he was up and
amazing.
about. He was eating. He wasn't in pain. So, it was good. But that I just wanted to share that just to show, that this is powerful. And
It's very powerful.
Recently started following teachers like Joe Dispenza, who I love, by the way, and I mean, I love him for a couple of reasons. One, that he's a rebel, and I like that, but also he's freaking amazing. And
he is. His books are so powerful.
Yeah. And I used to have severe eczema, which I healed to mind over matter. And I was thinking to myself, I wish I knew you back. Well, I don't know him, but I wish I knew about you back then.
Right.
It took me 3 years. I probably could have, with his technique, shortened that. It could still. I still did it, mind over matter, just making the reality wellness more real in my mind than the physical illness, and changing the programming that way. So that's akin to what he shares in this book, You Are the Placebo. And
so with that being said, do you believe that your thoughts create your reality?
I do believe our thoughts, emotions, it's really, I mean, the thoughts affect the emotions affect our thoughts. But I mean, our reality, if you take the sum of all of your relationships and everything in your life, you have a snapshot of what you're putting out into the world.
Yeah.
So we have to understand that we have, according to psychologists, over 60,000 thoughts per day. 95% of them are subconscious, and and most of them are from the past. So what most people are doing is they're taking their past situation to making that their present reality. But our minds are a record of the past. This is Joe Dispenza's lingo. Also, our minds are a record of the past, but they're also a creator of the future. So by not being present, you're basically you're basically creating your future based on your past, and that's why it's so hard to change.
So true.
So we have to learn how to change the subconscious programming, the subconscious thoughts. Just thinking happy thoughts isn't going to really do the job. So I think people, well-meaning teachers, like, always use positive words, think positive thoughts, everything's going to be okay. Yeah, positive thoughts are great. I totally support that. However, it's a lot deeper than that, and most people that follow that wind up getting very jaded and disappointed and saying, "Oh, the law of attraction is a bunch of crap. It doesn't work." Blah blah. And they don't know what the true law of attraction is. That's the reason. So
it's very surface. I feel like positive thinking is surface. You've got to go deep in, like you said, to the subconscious layer.
Yeah, I did a lot of reprogramming, a lot of subconscious shadow work, shadow integration, all of that stuff. Your thoughts your energy, your vibration frequency absolutely creates your reality. Now, quantum physics is validating that. The observer effect is really powerful when they observing that subatomic particles behave differently when there's somebody actually watching it. So what happens on the quantum level in time is going to happen on the macro level also. So if our minds can change quantum reality, that's going to in time change macro reality also. So so we're creating our reality all the time,
So true.
every minute. Yeah.
So one of the things I saw that you do is you do power attunements. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. It's a program I invented. It's empowerment, law of attraction. There's basically 7 steps. I call them the 7 treasures.
Oh, I love that.
Then there's also the 6 foundations and the 7 treasures. So just quickly, the first treasure is the gift. So that's about present. The more present, I recommend Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now for anybody that really wants to learn about presence. Because he
Yes.
has a 300-page book all about that. And so that's the first thing. That's the hub of the spiritual circle is presence. That's what's going to make everything else work.
Yeah.
And so you practice that. Then the second is engaging your spirit. So learning how and there's exercises for that, but learning how to engage your higher self, your spirit. Then the third one is cultivating new frequencies. So we learn how to change our vibration and our energy. So we can literally change our personalities and change our lives to that. And then the fourth one is weaving your destiny. So that's when I really teach like the law of attraction stuff, like the way that we do it with the affirmations, the visualization, all that. And then the fifth one is the gift of challenge. And it's interesting. These are all numerologically aligned, but I didn't plan it that way. It was later on I realized
how interesting is that?
This is all numerologically aligned because this came from spirit, and that's really understanding challenge is your greatest gift. It's like the lion's share of our learning happens through challenge in a human experience. So you learn how to embrace your challenge in order to release, and not just to release without knowing what you're releasing, but to embrace it with love first. And be grateful. Then it's easier to release. And the sixth is engaging your spirit helpers. That's working with your spirit guides and angels in the process. And then the seventh treasure is sharing the gift. And that's basically, there's no exercises with that. It's just once you come full circle to that step and you got it, and you're living an empowered life rather than a victim's life, which is how 98% of people live in their lives without even knowing it. You just want to share it. It's just a natural step. So that's power attunements.
Oh, I love that. Are you currently teaching that now, or are you going to be opening up a new class for that soon?
I will probably start doing that soon. Like the plan is that I want to, because I have it just as an audio program right now, and I did it in 2013. So, I mean, I've come a long way in that time, and there's new things I want to add to it. So at some point, I want to make that an online course. That's all part of the whole YouTube thing. Other than the fact that Spirit on New Year's Eve 2019 told me to start a YouTube channel, and I told them they were crazy. That was my first reaction. It's like, yeah, obviously you guys have not seen me on camera if you want me to do this. And that was reprogramming also. I had a terrible like anxiety. So I'd say even a borderline phobia about being on camera.
Wow.
And I wanted to cry watching my first videos, like all the nervousness and all the fidgeting and whatever. But I did full on reprogramming. And by June 2020, I launched the channel, and I look at the different eras, and I'm still getting better. So I'm still getting better as doing videos and being able to do public speaking and everything.
Well, I have to share that I had a session with you about less than a year ago, and you told me, you said, Rachel, you need to start a YouTube channel and you need to get on video and whatnot. And I was like, no. And I had the same.
That's funny.
And I had this, you're like, I don't remember. I had the same fear, phobia. I was like, I do not want to be on camera. I do not want to be on video. And then I challenged myself to start at January of 2022. And that's what I've been doing. And it's like, you get a little, but you just, like you said, if if spirit is pushing you forward, they'll guide you and they'll protect you
Yeah.
and you'll be okay.
Yeah,
So you were
definitely. Yeah.
helpful. That's my whole reason for that. Thank you. You were very helpful. You're like, you
Oh,
got to do
good.
this, you
I
got to do
think I
that.
subscribe to your channel, but if not, I'll have to remember to do that.
No, I appreciate I appreciate you in helping me with that guidance when I
Yeah.
had the session with you. So I think that's wonderful. And for your
Oh, good. I think it's
one-on-one
going to work out well. I mean, you're doing these interviews.
thing, yeah. So tell us a little bit about like, so your one-on-one sessions, do you do like, are they specified? Is it kind of whatever comes through for you for the client?
Kind of a little of each. I want to get an idea. Are you looking more for people to come through or more
Gotcha.
for guidance in your life?
Yeah.
Sometimes they like both, or sometimes they leave it up to me, but sometimes it's very specific. And then other thing is if I'm doing a psychic reading, I use tarot cards also for psychic. I'm doing a psychic reading, psychic stuff. Like unless the spirits say something about your future, that's not what that's about. That's going to be
Yeah.
strictly to make the connection. We want to be evidential, like we want to get specifics around them. It's
Nice.
the idea, and this is another thing that Janet O'Havoc told me in her evidential mediumship class, is that our job is to paint them back to life. And I love that metaphor.
Oh,
Basically,
say that
that
again.
always stuck me. The job, our job as mediums is to paint them back to life, basically.
I
And
love that.
then that's what happens. And when I'm doing a reading, it may start, sometimes it starts out like who's Peter or who's Mary or whatever.
Yeah.
But more often than not, it starts as a little gentle, I feel like an older female, this, that. Then and then the connection starts to build. And then they start to share things about their life or things that they did or things that happened or things they see in the living. And the idea is we want to validate the continuity of life. It's comforting and healing for people that suffer losses, but it's
Yeah.
also empowering to know, because when you lose the fear of dying, you lose the fear of living. And if you fear dying, you're not going to grow spiritually, because every spiritual initiation is like you die and you're reborn, basically. So you got to lose that fear. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about the physical, body, survival instinct fear. Like we'll all have that,
Yeah.
but we have to be able to override that and not fear dying. And every day as they speak, if today's the day, thank you for my life. I kind of almost invite death in a way.
Oh yeah.
It's like a spirit. It's a warriorship concept, like using your death as your
Yeah.
advisor, basically.
Oh, I love that.
And then the essence of my death is come and says, sorry, not now. Like, yeah. It's like,
Oh,
I think
good.
I'm gonna live to an old man. Actually, I don't think I'm getting off that easy, but
No, I love it. I love it. So what, I know you have the course coming up at Lilydale. What else do you have coming up for the listeners? Any
What's
classes or
coming up? All right. Do I have any class? Nothing that I can think of that's on the schedule. I should have wrote things down for
it's
this.
okay.
But I mean, I do have a Patreon group that I do things every month
Okay.
for. It's called Spirit Mind Family, and I do classes and videos there. That's anywhere from $5 to $33 a month.
Yeah. And what's that
Anybody
called
wants to
again?
get. It's called Spirit Mind Family.
Or on Patreon. Okay.
And I have different themes every month. So this month's root chakra month. So we're doing a lot with the root chakra this month.
Yeah.
Um, any actual classes? I have to think about that.
It's okay.
Because I don't even have a mediumship event scheduled. I mean, I just did one. I did a couple. But sometime probably in early June, I'll do like mediumship on Zoom, and
Nice.
I'll probably have some class or workshop over the summer. Honestly, I don't have anything. I mean, but between my YouTube channel and private readings, it's like I
Yeah.
don't need any more work.
And
And then I have,
how,
of course, this class on Saturday.
oh wow, yeah, exactly. And how do people, do you do your sessions in person, on Zoom? How do you do your sessions right now?
I mean, right now, most of them are on Zoom. I do have an office I see in Kingston, New York. I see people Fridays and Saturdays there. Other than that, Zoom, phone, FaceTime.
And how is the
Zoom is
best,
good.
what? What's the best way for people to book a session with you?
Well, they can email it info@atombetweentheworlds.com.
Awesome. And how far out are you booking?
Lately it's only been a couple of weeks out. So the way it varies. Sometimes you can get in very soon. Sometimes takes
Yeah.
a few weeks. But
Feast or
right
famine.
now, I think it's interesting because lately my days have almost always filled up. I've had very few like empty slots, but it's been filling up at the last minute lately, and maybe that's just where people are at. I'm gonna say.
I love that. And once again, what is the name of your YouTube channel?
Okay, it's called the Medium Channel.
Okay. All right. I
It's
love that. I
easier to
love the name
remember,
of
just the
that.
Medium. We're going to be 2 years old later this June, so I can't believe I've been doing this 2 years.
Amazing. That's amazing. And then, so just a couple questions before we wrap it up. What are some of your favorite spiritual tools that you use?
My favorite spiritual tools are certainly your breath work, meditation, stuff like that. Like I like to have a spiritual routine. Of course, yoga is really big
Yeah.
also.
Do
So
you do your spiritual routine every day?
yes. So I get up, fairly early, although I could get up earlier, honestly, but I'm kind of a night owl. But I get up early. Speaking of Joe Dispenza, I always start out with supernatural breathing, which is
Okay.
very similar to things we do in Kundalini yoga. Also, I know he studied with Ramtha, so he probably got some of his exercises through yoga training and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So supernatural breathing just basically flips your lower chakras and brings the energy up to your upper chakras.
Yeah.
It's a simple, beautiful technique, and it also gets the spinal fluids up into the brain and converts the melatonin.
Serotonin,
Yeah,
dopamine.
I think it's melatonin to
Okay.
serotonin. Like it changes those sleep hormones and the
Oh,
other
that's
hormones.
melatonin.
Basically, yeah.
Melatonin. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So you wake up fairly quickly doing, then there's about 40-45 minutes of your meditation. And I try to get into so present that I just don't have an identity. I don't have a body. It's basically I'm spirit, I'm energy. So I really work on meditating that level, of course. And even at 40 years of meditation under my belt, does that mean my mind never wandered? No, not at all. It still does. But I'm able to stay longer in the state
Yeah.
and pull myself back more quickly when my mind starts to wander. That's just our ego's defense mechanisms. That's why people have a hard time meditating, because
Yeah.
ego sees change as death and tries to prevent it. Basically, our egos want to keep us alive, and because they're our egos are of our body, they're of our individuality.
Yeah.
Our hearts are of our unity, but our egos are of our individuality. We're really both. So no worries about having an ego. I think you're only supposed to lose your ego when you're ready to go into full on sadhana or
Yes.
enlightenment,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Uh, but but that said, so I want to lose that ego identity, and that's why thoughts will come up, or people get anxious or nervous or
Uh-huh.
sleep or whatever, because the ego says like, "What are you doing? This is killing us. I don't like this. I'm going to make you stop." So that's basically like what happens. So I really try to get into that. Then I do a 3-minute cold shower. That's a Kundalini yoga thing.
Oh, that's cool.
I really want to develop it the way Wim Hof does. Is he goes into the ice baths and everything.
My
um,
goodness. I love it. Do you have any guilty pleasures?
well, I don't know. What guilty pleasure? Yeah, one guilty pleasure that's a carryover from my youth and younger years is that I love ice hockey.
Oh, I
On
love
the
that.
say. And I would consider that a guilty pleasure, because it's really, it's not the nicest sport. I mean, they're like hitting each other with sticks or stuff. But to me, it's like this beautiful synergy of like flow and gladiator like brutality. So it's a very zen like sport, which is what got me into it. It's like when the team's locked in, it's like they're almost like one, and it's a beautiful flow of things. But then
Oh,
again,
wow.
it's like they're fighting and whatever. So I'd say that qualifies as a guilty pleasure.
That's awesome.
I'm gonna say.
Is there any book right now that you're reading that you're like, oh, I love this book?
Right now it's like I've been so busy doing other stuff,
You're too
that I'm
busy.
not even reading anything. It's like I definitely want to take in more of Joe Dispenza's books, I want to
Okay.
say. Another
Yeah.
one that caught my attention, I think this is David Hawkins' book, The Art of Letting Go, I think it's called, or
Oh, I think I may have read that one.
I think he's the one that had the emotional frequency scale that
Yeah.
a lot of spiritual people refer back to that. Um, but yeah, that I mean, I could think of a lot of good books in my mind that I've read, obviously, but you have to get back into reading. It's one
Yeah.
of those things. I've
It's,
been
I
just
know,
so
yeah, it
freaking
goes in
busy with
waves.
everything.
Yeah. I love that. Anything you want to share before, or words of wisdom, anything you want to share just before we finish up this interview?
Sure. Well, the thing that comes to mind, just to remind everybody that you're more powerful than you believe you are, and that you're immeasurably powerful. And the thing is, we have to get out of the limiting programming that our subconscious mind is designed to run on programs. That's just the way it is. There's good programs, bad programs. That's how computers are fashioned after the brain. So when we're growing up, or even as adults, like that which we repeat day in and day out, that which we see, and it's more the emotions associated, because the mind remembers emotions. um so um so I think we really need to learn how to reprogram our mind. So I don't know if you're freezing now, so I don't know if you're hearing me or not.
I can hear you. Yeah, it's about
Okay.
reprogramming your mind. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just sometimes
It's
because
a
I'm
computer
hearing the
telling us.
announcement. Yeah, and they may be telling us to wind it down, but I think that would be the words of wisdom, is to learn how to program your own mind. And that happens through the power of repetition. Otherwise, society does it for you. And that you're absolutely good enough, worthy enough to, whether you want to be rich or you want to be in the dream relationship. Like,
Yeah.
we can create all of this stuff, but we have all this negative programming that blocks it, basically. So I think the thing is to understand that you are very powerful, that you can create virtually anything you want in your life. I mean, certainly it has to be at least some semblance of within the laws of physics, although things that have manifested have definitely not been possible physically, but we know what that means. But anyway, that would be my words of wisdom. Work on reprogramming your own mind before society does that for you, and keeps you a slave to the system, basically.
So true. That is such valuable advice. Well, I would like to thank you, Adam, so much for coming on to
Oh,
our
thank
spiritual
you.
spotlight series. If anyone want to check out Adam, just go to adambetweentheworlds.com, and I will make sure to link everything when I post the interview. So thank you, everyone.
Okay,
And we
so is
will
the interview on YouTube, or
hold on one second. Thank you, everyone.